Now, today I'm going to talk to you about an interesting topic and an important one, which is ECG. So, I'll try to uh, brush upon the basics of ECG first, and then slowly and steadily we'll go into the details of ECG. So, keep watching. So, what is an ECG? An ECG is a graphical representation of the electrical activity of the heart. So, whatever electrical energy is created in the heart, it is transmitted within the muscles of the heart, and it is depicted as a graph onto a ECG paper, and that is what we are going to learn about. So the ECG reading has to always start with standardization. So now what is standardization? Here, as you see, the vertical rectangle that you see, this is the standardization, which denotes that the settings of the ECG machine are correct. Here, when you see, the width of the standardization should be 5 millimeters, and the height of the standardization should always be 10 millimeters. It depicts that if the width of the standardization of this standardization is 5 millimeters, it depicts that the speed of the ECG machine is kept at 25 millimeters per second over here, and the voltage of the ECG machine is 1 millivolts. Only then can we proceed with reading of the ECG and other parameters, which will be subsequently discussed. So this is how a normal ECG looks like. On this ECG, the pattern that we see is, this is the P wave from here to here. This is called as the P wave. The P wave is the depiction of atrial depolarization. That means the contraction of the atria, the left atrium as well as the right atrium. This depicts the QRS complex. The QRS complex starts from here to here. QRS complex depicts the ventricular depolarization. That means the contraction of the ventricles, both the left as well as the right ventricle. This wave here is the T wave. T wave depicts the ventricular repolarization. Repolarization means the diastole relaxation of the ventricles. Sometimes you even see a U wave. We'll come to that later, but in this image you will see in detail that there is a P wave here. This is called as the PR interval. This is called as the PR segment. This is from here to here is the QRS interval. This is the ST segment from here to here. From this place to this place is the T wave. And this is the U wave, which I have already explained before. So this is the basic graph of an ECG. Coming to the graph paper of an ECG, I'll first explain how the graph looks like. This is basically a graph paper of an ECG. So the 5 millimeters of this graph paper is depicted over here. So what is seen in this? Let me explain you what is this graph paper about and how do you measure the graph. This is the same thing. Here what you see is every small square will be 1 millimeter in size. Every large square that we talk about while reporting an ECG will be 5 millimeters in size. So on an x-axis, this we consider as x-axis and this we consider as y-axis. So on x-axis, 1 millimeter is equivalent to 0.04 seconds. Similarly, on y-axis, 10 millimeters is considered as 1 millivolts. So this has to be made clear. Now 5 millimeters on x-axis is equivalent to 0.04 multiplied by 5, which is 0.2, which is shown over here. So from here to here will be 0.2 seconds of an ECG. So 1 millimeter is equal to 0.04. 5 millimeters on the same axis is equal to 0.2 seconds. And 10 millimeters on the vertical axis, that is y-axis, is equivalent to 1 millivolt. This is the voltage. This constitutes the basis of the graph of the ECG. This will help us in further measurements of rate, calculation of the rate, looking at the rhythm of the ECG. So this constitutes the basics of an ECG. Once you understand this, we'll move further. So while reading an ECG, a systematic approach to interpretation of the ECG is very important. First, as I have told you, we need to start reading the ECG by looking at the standardization. After you have confirmed that the standardization is normal, then we come to the rate of the ECG. The normal rate, that means the normal heart rate on the ECG, has to be between 60 and 100. Anything less than 60 or anything more than 100 is abnormal. Then we come to rhythm. We need to see whether on the ECG the rhythm is normal. So if the rhythm is normal, we go to the next step, which is the axis. We need to determine whether the ECG is having a normal axis, right axis, left axis, or extreme axis. We will come to that later. We are just discussing about how systematically we need to go on while reading an ECG. Next is intervals. Are all the intervals between the QRS complex, between the P waves, normal? So intervals between two consecutive P waves and intervals between two consecutive QRS complexes need to be determined and they have to be equal. Next is P wave. What is the height of the wave? What is the width and axis of the P wave? QRS complex. Are there any pathologic Q waves, bundle branch blocks, or chamber hypertrophy? STT waves. Is it isoelectric? Is the ST segment elevated or depressed relative to the TP segment? And after reading the whole ECG, what is your overall interpretation? Now coming to measuring the rate on an ECG. How do we measure the rate? As I have told you, the normal heart rate is between 60 to 100 beats per minute. So anything less than 60, we'll call it bradycardia, and anything more than 100 we call as tachycardia. So since in a normal heart the rhythm generates from the sinus node, which is called as the sinoatrial node, therefore while determining the rate we denote it as sinus bradycardia or sinus tachycardia. Now the easiest method to measure the rate interval, that means the RR interval, is measuring the number of large squares on the ECG. So before this measurement, I would like to clear one thing out. When I say a small square on an ECG, small square is equivalent to 1 millimeters in height and in width. A large square is equivalent to 5 millimeters in height as well as in width. So 5 millimeters is a large square and 1 millimeter is a small square. So coming back to the methods of measuring the heart rate. When you see on this ECG, if you check the interval between two QRS complexes, measuring the large squares, if the interval between two QRS complexes is one large square, that means if there is one QRS complex over here and one over here, if there is one large square between two R waves, the heart rate will be 300. Similarly, on this ECG, when you see there is 1, 2, 3 and 4. So there are 4 large squares between two QRS complexes. Then the rate that can be calculated from this ECG will be this one. The heart rate on this ECG is 75 because there are 4 large squares between two QRS complexes over here. One thing to note here is whenever reading or measuring the heart rate on an ECG, you need to find a QRS complex which is landing almost approximately at the border of the large square. When you see the other complexes, this complex or this complex or this complex, these complexes do not land at the border. There is only one complex, this one, which is landing exactly at the border of the large square, which makes reading and measuring the heart rate very easy between the two QRS complexes. That's why whenever reading and measuring the heart rate, first find out the QRS complex which falls at the border of the large square, and then go on for the measurement of the RR interval. The second method of measuring the heart rate is by measuring it. There are two ways here. Either by measuring the number of large squares between the two R waves, or by counting the number of small squares. So counting the number of large squares between two R waves, two consecutive R waves, is a little gross method, whereas if you want an exact measurement, the second method of calculating the number of small squares between the two consecutive R waves will give you the exact rate of the ECG. So here, when you calculate, look at the QRS complex. Even over here, the QRS complex which is selected such that it falls onto the border of the large square, and then the rate is measured from here up to this QRS complex. Now when we measure it with this method, the result that we get is 300 upon the number of large squares between two R waves. So the number of large squares between these two R waves that we can see is 2 or more than that. So if we put a figure of 2, then we come to 150. But when we go for the second method, we calculate it as 1000 divided by number of small squares between two R waves. So now if we calculate the number of small squares between the same two QRS complexes, what we find that there are 12 small squares between the two QRS complexes. If we calculate this, we get to a final answer of 125. So this will be the exact heart rate of this ECG pattern, whereas while calculating the rate by this method, we get to a conclusion of 150, which will be a gross method of calculating. So if you want to calculate the heart rate in an exact way, this second method is the best method of calculating. So a point to note here is the 300 and 1500 are constants which have been taken by calculating the speed of the ECG machine, which in the starting I had mentioned of 25 millimeters per second. So this is the second method. Now this is the third method of calculating the heart rate. This third method is calculated and usually used when the rhythm is not regular. Here on this ECG strip, what you can see is the rhythm is not regular. The QRS complexes are not coming at equal intervals of each other. Here you can see the QRS complex is coming at a quite a later time than what you see between these two QRS complexes. So in such situations, how will we calculate the heart rate when the rhythm is not correct? So this method is used only in cases of arrhythmia. This method is not used when the rhythm is regular and there is no abnormality noted in the rhythm. This is called as 6-second strip method of the calculating the heart rate of the ECG. So the first step is to choose a 6-second strip of ECG. Usually it is long lead 2. So how will you calculate the 6 seconds on an ECG? So as I have mentioned initially, that 5 millimeters is equal to 0.2 seconds on the x-axis of the ECG. So if I add up 5 large boxes, the total time that I will get here is 0.2 seconds into 5. That will be 1 second. So here if I on the ECG strip, if I am calculating, If I start my calculations from here, I need to measure 0.2 seconds, 0.2 seconds here, 0.2 seconds here, 0.2 seconds here, and 0.2 seconds here. So up to this level, this is 1 second. Similarly, you need to calculate the second, third second, fourth second, fifth second, and sixth second. So this from here to here is called as a 6-second strip. So we need to determine how many QRS complexes are coming in this 6-second strip. If we calculate, what we can see is there are 6 QRS complexes that are coming in 6-second strips. If 6 QRS complexes are coming in 6-second strip, then how many QRS complexes will come in 60-second strip? It will be 6 into 10, which will be 60 QRS complexes. That means in 1 minute, we are seeing 60 QRS complexes on this ECG. So eventually the heart rate of this ECG will be 60 beats per minute. This is how we calculate heart rate by taking the 6-second strip. A thing to note is this 6-second strip is only used in cases of arrhythmias. In cases of sinus rhythm, if you use the 6-second strip method, it will give you an equivalent result as to what result you have got by this method or this method. Now here I'll show you a few examples of the ECG and I'll help you to calculate the heart rate on these ECGs. Here you can see a normal ECG, and let us calculate the heart rate on this ECG. The first thing to note on this ECG is the standardization. The height of the standardization has to be 10 millimeters, which is 1 millivolt, and the width of the standardization has to be 5 millimeters. So first we need to note the standardization, and then we come to reading of the ECG. After looking at the standardization, we need to look for a QRS complex which falls almost exactly onto the border of the 5 millimeter large box. So here I can see that this is a QRS complex which falls exactly on the border. So I will start measuring the heart rate from this QRS complex to the next QRS complex over here. A point to note here is it is not necessary that the QRS complex has to be pointing only downwards. For example, if I am selecting this QRS complex, we can calculate the heart rate on this ECG from this QRS complex to the next QRS complex, or from this QRS complex to the next QRS complex as well. So coming back to measurement of the heart rate on this ECG, if I measure the number of large squares between these two QRS complexes, I can see that there are 3 large squares between these two QRS complexes, somewhat more than 3 large squares. So if I calculate by the first method, then the formula is 300 divided by number of large squares, which is 3, and the answer comes as 100 beats per minute. Now, by using the second method, which I have already mentioned, is the exact method. The formula comes as 1500 divided by number of small squares. If I calculate the number of small squares, the number of small squares come to be 18, almost 18 small squares. So if I calculate 1500 divided by 18, I get a figure of almost 83 beats per minute. So 83 beats per minute will be the exact heart rate of this ECG. 83, 84 approximately. Coming to another ECG. Now this is an abnormal ECG which shows sinus tachycardia. Now on this ECG, I'll show you how to measure the heart rate. First, when I see the standardization is normal. Second, I come to locating a QRS complex which falls exactly at the border of the large square. So when I see that there is this QRS complex which falls almost exactly at the border, from this QRS complex, if I try and measure the number of small squares, I can see is there are 12 small squares between this QRS complex and this QRS complex, and there are 2 large squares. So putting the formula, 300 divided by 2 is equal to 150 beats per minute, or 1500 divided by 12, which comes to 125 beats per minute. Coming to the next ECG. In this ECG is a ECG of sinus bradycardia. So now I'll show you how to calculate the heart rate on this ECG. This ECG, if I see the standardization is normal. Next, coming to the QRS complex, I can see that this QRS complex is almost falling at the border. So calculating from here to this QRS complex, I can see that there are more than 5 boxes, large boxes between the 2 QRS complexes. And if I calculate the small boxes, there are almost 28 small boxes. So putting the formula, 300 divided by 5 comes out to 60 beats per minute, and 1500 divided by 28 comes up to 54 beats per minute. Now, as I have already told you, this being a gross method, this might give you a approximate reading but not the exact reading. So this ECG, although this ECG is a ECG of sinus bradycardia, by this method we have got a result of 60 beats per minute, which is a normal heart rate. But using this method, which is exact method, we have got a heart rate of 54 beats per minute. Coming to another ECG. In this ECG, again I see the standardization. Next, going on to the QRS complex, I can see that this QRS complex is falling almost exactly at the border of the last square. and if I measure from this QRS complex to this QRS complex, by the first method, wherein the if the RR interval is 1 log square, the heart rate is 300. If the RR interval is 2 log squares, the heart rate is 150 beats per minute. If the RR interval is 3 log squares, the heart rate will be 100 beats per minute. So in this ECG, as the number of large boxes between the two QRS complexes are 3 large boxes, the heart rate is 100 beats per minute. By the second method, if we calculate considering the number of large boxes, putting the formula, we come to a result of 300 divided by 3, which is again 100 beats per minute. By using the third formula, which is 1500 divided by number of small boxes, which will be 15, we again come to the same result, which is 100 beats per minute. So this is how we calculate the heart rate on an ECG. Hope you all guys have understood properly how to calculate the heart rate looking at the ECG pattern. Thank you very much.